To help me break down the most legendary games in Scrabble history, I use computer analysis tools that are now standard in higher level play. But while modern players like myself might take these tools for granted, they haven't been around forever. And at a one-of-a-kind tournament held in 2006, one computer engine made it clear that it was going to revolutionize Scrabble analysis as we know it. In November 2006, players from across North America flocked to Toronto to compete in the Human versus Computer Showdown. This event was actually two tournaments in one. There was a relatively normal 16-round open tournament, but with a twist. Each player would also get 2 rounds off from the main event to play against Scrabble computer engines. Maven had been the strongest computer opponent in Hasbro's Scrabble games for years and was a formidable challenge, armed with perfect word knowledge and advanced strategies. Its new challenger was Quackle, an AI developed by elite tournament players John O'Loughlin and Jason Katz-Brown. Quackle had some key improvements, including a stronger pre-endgame solver, more accurate evaluations of winning percentages, and most importantly, extremely accurate values for the leftover tiles on players' racks, or leaves. Volunteers operated laptops running the software and handled tiles on behalf of the computer engines. The top performing human player from the main tournament would face off in a best-of-5 series against the top performing computer engine. Humanity wound up with a worthy representative in former world champion David Boyes, and on the less human side, Quackle won 32 games to Maven's 30, with a significantly higher spread. The resulting match between David and Quackle was a spectacular display of top-level Scrabble. In Game 1, Quackle has a small lead down the stretch, holding this rack. Rather than try to score a lot of points, it instead bravely plays L for just 2 points, likely reasoning that its chances of bingoing are excellent. In fact, between the 7-letter words hooking L, 8-letter words through existing tiles, and even 9-letter words through EN, its odds of doing so are about 70%. Still, David holds the second blank. He balances his rack with pin, and when Quackle cashes its setup with calorie for 83, he's ready to respond with a game-winning out bingo, catching Quackle with just enough heavy tiles on its rack to sneak by with a narrow win. Late in Game 2, David's holding a solid lead thanks to his mid-game reissue, and with just 1 tile in the bag, he notices that all the remaining tiles are consonants. So he makes the beautiful play of Oi for just 2 points, setting up the 51-point Calx hooking oil. Although Quackle cleverly blocks it, it's a second win for David, putting him up 2-0 and needing just 1 more win. One underrated attribute of computer engines is their lack of emotion, never feeling disappointment or going on tilt during a losing streak. And in Game 3, Quackle continues to play fearlessly, making a bold play that few humans would make in this scenario. After David's a holds for 33, Quackle plays mad for 30 points, setting up an enormous spot for the S left on its rack. Human players would balk at such an aggressive move, especially after your opponent has just played an S, making it likelier that he has another. But David doesn't have the 4th S or either of the 2 blanks, and with Oath available for 30 points, he's forced to block the setup with a much lower scoring placement. Of course, Quackle proceeds to play Briniest for 83 points in a completely different spot. Had David not blocked, Brinies would have played for 107 in the spot it made for itself. After this pivotal sequence, Quackle goes on to win Game 3, 466 to 345. In Game 4, Quackle draws excellent tiles while David slogs through difficult racks, and the 496 to 302 result evens the series at 2 games apiece, setting up a climactic Game 5. Quackle opens the game with Hemin for 28, placing the N in just the right spot for David's Eruption for 89. But Quackle hits right back with the first blank, playing Skitter for 76, and even after David's powerful response of Fixated for 72, it draws the second blank and hits Hedgers for 97. After David's purely for 22, Quackle finds the resourceful Aleph for 39, even with just one vowel. David draws 2 W's and makes the nice overlap of Wob for 37, by far his top move. And after Quackle's Joram for 36, it's David with the consonant trouble now, and he plays Wiper for 20. Quackle answers with Scion, forming the stylish Caliph hook for 28 more points, and after David's Yob leaving good bingo tiles, Quackle's facing this position. A strong human player might spot Advent for 46 here, which would be a great play, but there's one better move, and with its infallible vision, Quackle finds it. The gorgeous 9-letter Deviating for 74 points through disconnected eyes on the board. David's not out of it yet, answering with his only bingo of Islander through the newly opened D. And with all low point tiles and no bingo available, Quackle makes an interesting choice. With Anuria available for 27 here, it plays the same word on the top right for 25 points instead. This is because the top right triple is much tougher to use than the other 2 open triples, and by leaving those open, Quackle is essentially guaranteeing that it will have one of them available on its next turn. Not only that, the D is one of the few remaining consonants that can slot alongside the E of Islander, playing downwards. David responds with a massive 75-point Z-bomb, taking a narrow lead, and Quackle faces this position. There's a lot to consider here. With these balanced low-point tiles, bingoing is still very much in play, with the E of Skitters and the A of Anuria representing viable options. Again, thanks to the D it left on its rack, the lane alongside Islander is also a threat for words starting with a D. Rather than go for a bingo, Quackle could also play the snazzy overlap of Ides for 39, essentially giving up on bingoing and trying to outscore its way past David instead. Or it could hedge its bets with a play like Ziti, scoring not quite as well, but keeping solid bingo tiles as a compromise. But there's one more thing. The Q is also lurking as a threat here. David could have moves like equal or equate off of the R of Islander, but those are very specific 5 and 6 tile combinations. A much likelier outcome if David has the Q would be the 3 tile combination of QTS, giving him Cats for 46 points, a very damaging score in such a close game. So, what does Quackle do here? It plays low T for just 8 points. This is a brilliant move that few human players would find. It manages to preserve solid chances of a bingo while blocking David from playing Cats. It also keeps the letters for the 39-point Ides on its rack if David makes a low-scoring move next turn. But it does one more thing. If Quackle draws the Q itself, low T not only doesn't block it from playing Kadi in that spot, it will still be able to do so for an even larger score. As the story goes, Quackle made this move right after commentator Robin Pollock Daniel suggested that a move blocking Cats without blocking Kadi would be a great idea. And after David takes his top-scoring move of Lou to go up by 20 heading into the endgame, Quackle draws the Q and plays Caddy for 55. The incredible setup play gives it an insurmountable lead in the endgame, leading to a 482 to 465 win in Game 5 and an overall 3-2 series victory for Quackle in the finals. Having Scrabble software available that allows us to identify and learn from moves like low T has unquestionably driven the level of Scrabble play forward. Tournament players owe John and Jason a huge debt of gratitude for developing this amazing tool. Thanks are also due to event organizer Tony Leah, who had aspired to arrange a human versus computer event for a while. The event received some press coverage after the fact, but for the players, the implications were more profound. An even better tool to make sense of this fascinating and beautiful game had arrived. And going forward, when Scrabble AI inevitably evolves even further, it will have the lineage of Quackle and Maven before it to thank.